Welcome to FAMORRA. Don't forget to subscribe for more shocking family drama and jaw-dropping stories.
She stole my $50,000 and ran off with my best friend. 10 years later, they stood at my gate. Begging for help, I came home smelling like fryer oil and hope. I'd just finished a double shift and planned to transfer another $500 into the house fund. The plan was simple. 2 more months, a modest down payment, a small backyard where we could burn cheap steaks and call it romance. I put my key in the lock and felt it stick, like the door already knew. Inside, the apartment was too clean. Drawers closed. No shoes by the rug. On the counter sat a single envelope with my name in the handwriting I used to think was beautiful. Don't wait for me. Daniel can give me the life you never will. I read it twice, then felt my legs find a chair. The refrigerator hummed like it was trying to comfort me. I opened my banking app. The number that used to start with 5 started with 0. $50,000. My winter mornings, my double shifts, my weekends I didn't spend, gone, at the bank. The teller wore the careful smile you give a man who's about to break. The withdrawal was authorized, she said. Joint access. I stared at the slip. Sophia's signature. Daniel's witness initials. My best friend's name looked like a joke I hadn't learned the punchline to. Neighbors pretended not to look when I carried a box to my car. My mother called and said, "Come home." I told her I was fine and wasn't, not even a little. That night, I sat on the floor beside an empty closet and said to the darkness, "You didn't erase me." The darkness said nothing back. It didn't have to. I was still here. There's a taste to humiliation. It's metal and old pennies. I rented a studio with peeling paint and a window that wheezed when it rained. I got up before the sun, unloaded trucks, restocked aisles, and wiped the same counters 20 times a day so I wouldn't think about the envelope on the counter and the laughter I imagined in someone else's living room. At night, I watched videos about cap rates and loan-to-value ratios until my eyes hurt. I read articles about zoning laws and tax liens like they were love letters. I kept a notebook where every ugly page was a plan. Save 200 week, call code inspector, learn PEX versus copper. It wasn't noble. It was survival. The bitterness almost ate me. Then Mr. Allen appeared in a hard hat and a frown. He ran a small development firm, the kind that turned sun-faded buildings into something that earned the right to be called home. "You keep showing up," he said after I fixed a jammed door with a butter knife. "You want work or pity?" "Work," I said, and I meant it like a prayer. He gave me keys and tasks that smelled like mildew and bad decisions. I learned more in 6 months than school ever tried to teach me. How to count all the costs, how to smile at inspectors, how to hear a bad roof before you see the leak. When he caught me taking notes at lunch, he grunted. Pain is a terrible fuel. Burn it right and it lights the way. Burn it wrong and it burns you. I flipped my first house at 27, a cracked 1-bedroom with mystery stains and a backyard full of stubborn weeds. Profit, $18,400. I held the check in both hands and laughed until I scared a pigeon. By 29, after 5 flips and 2 small rentals that finally paid more than they complained, I crossed $500,000. The number didn't fix my chest, but it let me breathe without counting. Nora, a coworker with kind eyes and mean coffee, slid a cupcake onto my desk. "You did that," she said. "Don't forget to feel something." I wanted to. I couldn't, not yet. Success arrives like weather. First a breeze, then a wind, then a sky you don't recognize. My deals got bigger. A 4-plex I turned honest. A warehouse that became studios. A tired corner lot that finally got a tree. People who used to call me kid started calling me sir or partner. I never got used to it. One afternoon, the agent said, "You should see this place. Needs a buyer with cash and nerve." The wrought iron gate opened to a kind of silence you can only buy. The house stretched white and sure across a hill. $1.5 million, the agent said, voice low like the price might spook me. I walked through rooms that didn't need me. Marble floors, a kitchen bigger than my first apartment, a balcony with a view that made the city look soft. On the wall near the stairs, an old brochure framed behind glass, Harbor View, the dream. The agent watched my face. "Funny thing," she said. "Some woman used to come sit on the curb outside with her boyfriend. Said this was her dream house, Sophia. She always asked what it might cost one day." My mouth went dry. The past stood up in my chest like it had heard its name. "I'll take it," I said. I wired the money that afternoon. Some part of me expected fireworks or at least a decent trumpet. The email dinged and the house became mine the way paper declares things true. I filled it with furniture that looked like success. People came for dinners and drank wine with long names. They said, "You made it." Nora stood in the foyer at the end of one of those nights, looking up at the chandelier. "You built everything," she said softly. "Do you feel anything?" "Pride," I said. She tilted her head. "Anything else?" I looked at the staircase where my future should have walked down in white and realized I still lived with a ghost that wore my old trust like a veil. "Working on it," I said. On a quiet Sunday, the intercom coughed. Marco, the security guard, cleared his throat. "Sir, 2 people at the gate. They say they know you." I tapped the camera feed. Sophia and Daniel stood side by side, smaller than memory, older than time. Sophia's hair was pulled back in a rushed knot, her eyes ringed with the kind of tired pride can't hide. Daniel looked like he'd been left in the sun too long and shrank. Sophia banged the metal with her palm. "Please, we need help!" My heart did that stupid 2-step. Pain, then power. I walked down the long drive because I wanted to know if my feet could do it without shaking. Up close, it was worse. The people who stole my winter mornings were now a story with holes. "We lost the business," Daniel said before I asked. "Investors pulled out, debt." "It's bad. The bank took the house," Sophia whispered. "We have nowhere to go. Just for a night, please." I remembered her handwriting on the envelope. "Daniel can give me the life you never will." I remembered the teller's eyes. I remembered learning the smell of fresh paint to hide the smell of old pain. The words crowded my mouth and refused to leave. Instead, I said, "This house look familiar?" Sophia looked up at it like you look up at something you prayed for and didn't get. "I used to sit right there," she said, pointing to the curb, "and tell Daniel this would be ours." "That part you got right," I said. "It's mine," she sagged. "You won." "I survived," I said. "Winning is a different game." "We're asking for mercy," Daniel said. His voice cracked, and I realized he had never learned how to say please from the right place. The gates are tall for a reason. They remind you what you're protecting and from whom. For a moment, I saw myself the way I used to be. A kid with a cheap suit and a ring in his pocket, walking into a bank with hope like a weapon, and walking out with a receipt that said you were foolish to trust. That kid wanted me to open the gate and prove I was still the person he liked to be, but I'm not a museum. I don't owe tours of who I used to be. "Marco," I said into the radio, "hold the gate." Sophia gripped the bars, knuckles white. "Just one night," she begged. "We can sleep on the floor." "The last time I slept on a floor," I said, "it was because of you." She flinched. Daniel stared at his shoes. "We made mistakes," he murmured. "No," I said. "You made choices." Sophia's face crumpled. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I thought money would feel like love." It didn't. The strange thing about apologies is how light they are compared to the things they're supposed to lift. I took a breath and felt it go all the way down. "I'm not your punishment," I said. "And I'm not your safety net. I'm the boundary between my past and my life." I nodded to Marco. "Give them water. Call a car to take them to the shelter downtown. Tell the intake I'll cover a week and the legal clinic fee if they need it. Then close the gate." Sophia made a sound I recognized from the worst part of the night. A sound people make when they realize the world won't bend back for them. "Please," she said again. It fell like a coin onto concrete and rolled away. "I hope you find a way out that doesn't require breaking someone else," I said. I did. Daniel looked up, and for the first time in years, I saw my old friend under the ruin. "I'm sorry, man," he said, voice raw. "I don't deserve anything from you. But thank you for not letting us drown." I didn't answer. I couldn't trust my mouth to keep my heart from speaking. The car arrived. Marco opened the pedestrian gate. They stepped through like people stepping out of a picture. When it clicked shut, the sound didn't echo. It landed and stayed put. Inside, the marble didn't feel like an argument anymore. The rooms didn't feel like a courtroom waiting for a verdict. They felt like a house waiting for a person. I poured a glass of water, just water, no burn, and walked to the balcony. The city stretched out, blinking like it had forgiven me for thinking it was keeping score. Wind moved the trees. Somewhere a dog barked at a world it didn't understand. I thought of my mother telling me to come home, of Mr. Allen handing me keys to a building no one believed in, of Nora pushing a cupcake across the desk and asking if I felt anything. "I do," I said, and the night took it without argument. I pulled my old notebook from a drawer. the one with melted coffee stains and a list titled, When. I added a line at the bottom. When they come back, choose the person you became. Then I closed it and slid it under the stack of fresh plans. I texted Marco, "Good call tonight." "Thank you." He wrote back a thumbs up and a always boss. On the balcony rail, the water glass caught a slice of moon and turned it into a bright coin. I lifted it to the dark, not as a toast to revenge, but to recovery. "Thank you for leaving me," I said softly. "You thought you buried me. You planted me." The wind carried the words somewhere I no longer needed to go. I went to bed with the window open, the gate closed, and a quiet I didn't have to defend. In the morning, there would be roofs to fix and contracts to negotiate and a meeting with a young kid who reminded me of me. Work is the only revenge that keeps its promises. I slept without dreaming of envelopes. If you were me standing on the balcony of the life they said you'd never have, what would you do?
Comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more family drama stories. See you in the next video.